I'm Stephen Yan from Macquarie Group. I'm joined by Andrew Root here on Monty TV. Andrew, give me a bit of your professional history.
Before I joined Macquarie, I spent several years as a semiconductor analyst at Goldman Sachs, and then went to the buy side where I invested in long-short tech strategies. And so coming back to Macquarie and running U.S. research, I knew that one of the most important verticals for us, partly because of our global footprint and also because of the prominence in the U.S. market, was going to be technology, media, telecom. So that was always a key part of what we were trying to produce here in terms of product. And now being part of the Montgomery Summit presented by Macquarie, it's really part of that vision.
What are sort of some of the things that you're seeing there? Are they sort of emerging and kind of replicating the experience here in the US?
Yeah, they are replicating it. The difference, I think, between the U.S. and some emerging markets is the infrastructure for the traditional services that are being replaced is much better and deeper. So, for example, if you're a peer-to-peer lender in the U.S., you may not need a lot of loan officers, or you may not need a lot of people in the field. You may really be able to focus on being a technology platform, whereas if you're operating the same type of business in China, China Rapid Finance, for example, they have 5,000 employees who actually do a lot of the loan officer type activities. So you have to marry the technology platform and the infrastructure build to do things like credit scoring and some of the basics that are really well developed here. So you have to do a bit of both.
Right. And in terms of some of the themes that you're seeing in the sector in general, what kind of things are really common at the moment, and what kind of things do you see sort of coming up, sort of 2-3 years down the track?
Yeah, I think from a public markets perspective, where our TMT team really focuses, the peer-to-peer lending, the peer-to-peer real estate, those types of activities, next generation social networking, curated content type e-commerce as opposed to the mass market type e-commerce, those are the things that really look like they're maturing and will be available for public investors in the next 2 or 3 years.
And then specifically, obviously equity markets are really strong right now. Looking at the public markets, what do you sort of see there? There's so much interest. Do you see that waning much at all? I
don't. I think there's been a lot of discussion about how the current tech market, and with the NASDAQ back at 5,000, how that compares to 1999 or 2000. And it really is very different. The multiple in the NASDAQ is down by 60-70% versus what it was in 2000. And there are some hot themes and hot trends, whether it's big data or some of the social networking names. But there are earnings behind those trends. And so we have seen a migration of public investors moving back towards late-stage private equity funding and financing. That, I think, is just a function of the fact that companies are staying private longer, and that capital availability is, in many cases, a good thing for those mission-driven organizations. So some people seem to be a little bit anxiety-ridden over that trend, but I don't really see that as a negative. I think it helps some of those companies mature before they come to the public markets, and that's another improvement over the 1999 experience.
And Andrew, as the head of research, you deal with equity investors, institutional investors, day in, day out. You have a team of specialist sector coverage experts. Tell us a bit about that and how that sort of assists the tech sector in general, and companies that are involved in that.
Yeah, our team has really grown in tech over the last couple of years. And again, it was part of the vision of what we wanted to do. And I think our connectivity in the institutional community, in tech in particular, is improving on a regular basis. We have 6 of our tech analysts here. We have 3 or 4 that are still in New York. So our tech team has grown by about 100% over the last couple of years. And we're really thankful to have guys like Aaron Schwartz here who are doing big data and software for us, and Ben Schachter and Tom White on the internet side. Tim Nolan is here, who's doing a lot of the content over the top, and also the rating and the big ad trend, the ad tech trend that's going on. Kevin McVeigh's here on the services side. We've had just a terrific level of participation from the analysts, and they've enjoyed meeting the companies early. It helps them produce better research and a little bit of a differentiated research product for their institutional clients. So it's been excellent.
And how does, in terms of, Macquarie is a global franchise, how does that all sort of interrelate, given our earlier conversation about emerging markets and Asia?
Yeah. I mean, for the U.S., this is not just a tech-centric comment, but globalized data and insight is really what our mission has been in the U.S. And so it is critical that our U.S. analysts maintain very strong relationships with their Asia counterparts. There are some obvious things that they do, which the institutions are used to. They do channel checks into how many units of a particular Apple product are being sold and that type of thing. But really, it's more about understanding the themes and trends, and sometimes they translate west to east in the case of peer-to-peer, for example, and sometimes they translate east to west in terms of manufacturing prowess or an understanding of what platforms are going to be more prominent. So the team stays very integrated. Peter Redhead, who runs the Asia equities and research product, and I stay in close contact, and we want to make sure the teams are sharing insights as much as they possibly can.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. They were very interesting.
Thank you.
Insights.